Hello, my name is Sofia, and this is the walkthrough to OSINT Exercise 010, double digits, here we go. On my website, you can find a number of OSINT exercises to practice your skills. If you have not attempted to solve this one yet, you can find a link in the description and give it a go first. If you're here because you have completed, well done, you should be very proud. If you're here because you want to find out how to solve it, I hope you find this video useful. So welcome to OSINT Exercise 010. Task briefing. A Twitter user shared 3 photos of an event. Please answer the following questions. A. Which event is being celebrated in the photos? B. Which 2 photos were taken by the same person? And C. The 2 photos mentioned above were taken in the same city. The photographer was previously in a different city. Find out the name of that city. And you can click here to open the photo new tab. I already have it open. It's technically a screenshot of the tweet, not exactly the photos, but this is what you get today. Exercise level. I have marked this exercise as the 2 first questions easy for beginners and experts. The third one may be hard for beginners and medium for experts. Honestly, I have no idea. Just tell me in the comments if this made sense or not. Maybe it was actually easy. I don't know. Just go with it. A quick note, you do not need to contact any users to solve this exercise. Do not harass people. Do not try to find out who tweeted this. It's not relevant. You do not need that information. So let's read the tweet and check out the images, and I'll give you a small warning before we get started. The tweet says, "Thank you for interested in Indonesian culture. In the same regard, I also fascinated how African voodoo and mysticism, still alive nowadays in form of voodoo festival and dances. My favorite is these Zangbito dolls. It's beautiful how people still connected to their ancestral roots." Smiley face emoji. And now my quick warning. This video will contain images that may offend or upset people. More specifically, you will definitely see partial nudity and dead animals. The partial nudity is in humans, not animals, although technically the animals were also naked. You can see from the tweet that we will be analyzing the topic of African voodoo and mysticism. And we will see many more photos related to these events. If you're not comfortable with it, feel free to stop watching now. Many people around the world embrace these traditions, and I have absolutely no intentions of censoring them. Okay, so let's get this voodoo party started. I'm going to assume that almost every single person that either attempted or completed this exercise went through the image reverse search route. I will show you how you could have done it with just analysis and critical thinking. I would always advise people wanting to enter the OSINT field to minimize tool use and maximize thinking about what you see and what you want to find out. Okay, enough with the preaching. Let's analyze the information we have on the tweet. So what do we see? He mentions that this is African voodoo and mysticism. He mentions a voodoo festival and dances. This is clearly a dance. At least there's some sort of movement. We can see that these 2 photos are quite similar. So whatever this costume is, it's also present here. It seems to be made out of straw. I would say this is straw. There's 3 colors. There's technically also 3 colors and 2. Maybe there's a third one. I'm not sure. But this is similar to this. He mentions Zangbito dolls. At this point, we don't know if they're referring to these costumes here or these ones. So we can start with that. So let's search for Zangbito dolls to at least find out what they are. So let's go to Google and just go with that. Zangbito dolls. Brilliant. We can see that there's a snippet of the Wikipedia. Information says Zangbito are the traditional voodoo guardians of the night among the Ogo or Egon people of Benin, Togo and Nigeria. Okay, so we have some information about location, perhaps, a traditional police and security, and off they go. Okay, so let's click on images and see what we get there. Great. Okay, so at first glance, I would say that these costumes that we have seen here, so these 3 ones, are the Zangbito dolls, because when you search for that on images, that's mostly what you get. So this is clearly something that exists somewhere and it's part of some celebration. So let's go back to the first question. Which event is being celebrated in the photo? So let's see if we can get that information from the photos. At first glance, I can see here it says Benin's Voodoo Festival, interesting, religion of voodoo, and it keeps going, Benin voodoo. So there's a lot of mentions of the country Benin, the word voodoo, and occasionally the word festival, which we also saw here. So let's try to put everything we know now together and search for it. So what are we going to do? We're going to back to Google and we're going to search for voodoo festival Benin. Brilliant. Let's see. Okay, so it has some information on the right. It says Fête du Vaudoun. Traditional Day or Fête du Vaudoun is a public holiday in Benin that celebrates the nation's history surrounding the West African religion of Vaudoun. The celebration is held annually on January 10 throughout the country, but most notably in the city of Ouidah. Okay, so we got more information now, right? So we now have a date and we have a location. So we're slowly taking little steps forward. That's what we need. You just get more information and you start using this information to get more information, and you keep going and going until you have the answers to all of your questions. So let's check out the images to see if we find anything useful. And oh my God, look at that. Look at that. That is the photo that we have on the tweet. See, you don't even have to do an image reverse search. You just have to follow leads. Just keep moving forward. So look at that. That photo here is this photo here. So let's click it because I'm sure it's going to give us even more information so we can take that next step. So it seems to be on the CNN website and says voodoo dances and mystic trances, 5 African festivals you can't miss. A bit clickbaity, but that's fine. Let's visit because we were going there anyway. And here is the photo. We can clearly see that this photo is the same as this photo. So let's see if it gives us any more information. It says Voodoo Festival Benin. During Benin's annual Voodoo Festival, people from across Benin and West Africa descend on the town of Ouidah for a week of voodoo-related activities. So this is the second time we see this Ouidah city name, so this might or not be useful for us, but it's all these little details that you have to remember, you have to pay attention to. Additionally, it also tells us the name of a photographer, which will definitely be useful because you have seen the other questions and there's definitely a question about photographers. At this point, we have enough information to answer the first question, which was, which event is being celebrated in the photos? In the photos, the event celebrated was the Benin's annual Voodoo Festival that we know was held on 10 January because we saw that information here. So it was held on January 10. It mentioned this Ouidah city that we can also see here. So this is the answer to the first question, Benin's annual Voodoo Festival. So let's move on to the second question. Which 2 photos were taken by the same person? So we know that 2 out of these 3 photos were taken by the same photographer because I just said so. And we already know the name of one of the photographers. At this point, we can assume that there is a 50% chance that the person behind this camera is the same as whoever took one of these other 2 photos. These 2 photos have Zangbito dolls, as we have established, so perhaps these 2 were the ones that were taken by the same photographer. We have no way of knowing. However, what we do know is that we already have the name of this photographer, so from my perspective, it's much easier to find what other photos this photographer took of this event than it is to find out the author of 2 different photos. Why start a new rabbit hole when we are already halfway through this one, right? So let's just keep going and see what else we can find about this photo and the photographer who took it. So let's check out his name again. We saw here that his name is Dan Kitwood. As it says here, Getty Images News, I'm going to assume that this photo will be found on the Getty Images website. To me, it says that this is a professional photographer who sells his photos at Getty Images, so he probably went to the event took various photos and put them for sale. So we can quickly check out what he has for sale on the Voodoo Festival held annually in Benin in Getty Images. So let's just Google something very simple. So you have his names, Getty Images, brilliant. That's literally what we want. And according to Google, Dan Kitwood has 86,244 photos. Oh my God, Dan is a very busy man. If you click on the link, you'll actually find out that at this point he has 86,311 photos. Wow. This is obviously far too much to scroll. There is no way you can scroll through over 86,000 photos in a reasonable amount of time. So let's think about it. So we have the search option. Great, let's use this Getty Images search engine. We have Dan Kitwood. So what can we put there? What do we know, right? We know the name of the city. We have established from looking at this that the photo was taken in the town of Ouidah. So let's use this new keyword to see if we can find when Mr. Kitwood went to Ouidah to take photos of the Voodoo Festival. Brilliant. Okay, so now we have 130 photos. This is a reasonable number. We can scroll through 130 photos. That's going to be easy. So you can already see, look at that. That is the photo. We can click on it. You can check it out. Look, this photo is now this photo we've seen on CNN and the photo we've seen there. This is slightly bigger. So we're obviously on the right track. We knew that already, but it's always good to verify everything. So you can check out the details here. It says it was created on January 10, 2012. You can also see up here, it was in Ouidah, Benin. It mentioned the annual festival, Voodoo. So this all matches the information we've gathered so far. That's brilliant. So what are we looking for now? We're going to look through his profile to see if we can spot any of these other two photos, because if we don't spot them, we can assume that these two photos were taken by the same person and not by Dan Kitwood. We would obviously have to verify if they were taken by the same person or not. But if we do find one of these two photos, then that's it. We would have answered our question, because the question is, if you remember, which two photos were taken by the same person. So let's check out Dan Kitwood's portfolio and see if we can spot one of the other photos. I have no idea which order they are, because every time I open it's a different order. So you might see dead animals and semi-naked people, but that's just how it is. Just embrace it, enjoy it. Scroll, scroll. Okay, so there's 3 pages. That's great. So we don't have to scroll that much. Hopefully. Oh, look at that. Right in the middle. If you're paying attention. Zangbito doll. So this photo is this photo. It's just a bit cropped here. But this is the same as this one. So here we go. That was not that hard, was it? Okay, we can answer the second question. Which two photos were taken by the same person? This photo and this photo were taken by Dan Kitwood, the same photographer. So this one is the odd one out. You can try to find out who took this photo. I can assure you it was a different person because I checked that. So now let's jump to the third question. It says, the two photos mentioned above were taken in the same city. We know that, we've established it was in Ouidah. The photographer was previously in a different city. Find out the name of that city. Okay, so now let's look at this. We know the other one was taken on 10th January 2012. This one was apparently taken on 9th January 2012. So I guess the event is not only on the 10th like we've seen on Wikipedia, so it lasts a few more days at least. So now we need to find out where was Dan Kitwood before the January 9th, 2012. A quick warning, please do not harass people. We're just looking for information. It's like a zoo. We observe, we don't touch. If you thought we could just see where the photographer was before by checking which photos they uploaded before the Voodoo Festival in Benin to Getty Images, I have bad news for you. Professional photographers don't often upload photos in the same order as they were taken. And in addition to that, stock image websites like Getty Images will have to manually approve the images before they're put for sale. This means that the order of the photos in Dan Kitwood's profile is not reliable. In addition to that, we don't know if he even took photos in the place he was staying before he went to Ouida. He could have just been resting there, for example, or just passing by. So what now? How do we find out where he was before he went on a trip to Ouida's Voodoo Festival in 2012? The same way I find a lot of personal information of people online. They just share it themselves, so it's not that hard. So let's Google his name. Again, second warning, please do not harass people. Go Dan Kitwood, that's it. And what do we have on our second result? His Twitter account. And if you look at it, the photo that we also found from the Benin's Voodoo Festival, he's clearly very proud of it, as he should, because it's an amazing photo. So we now found his Twitter account and we want to find out where he was before the 9th of January 2012. You could scroll through his tweets, since there's not that many, less than 2,000 tweets, but I'd rather do it the fast way. I have no plans of scrolling through that much stuff. So how do we do it? Okay, let's go to Explore. You can see I'm signed out. You don't need to have a Twitter account to do any of these things. So first you need to search for something. It doesn't matter what you search for. I'm going with the word voodoo. Yeah, just search for that. What I want to see is this section here. I want to click Advanced Search. This is what we're going to use now. So we only need now two things. We need the name of his account and we need the date range. So let's get the account name. So this is it. And we're going to drop it there where it says from this account. So that's the name. And we're going to put here the dates. So we know we're looking for a date before the 9th of January. So let's just put there 9th of January 2012. And we don't know how long he was staying in this place. Let's go with the 1st of January just to make it easier. And let's see if he mentions anything about going somewhere. So let's search for that. Let's organize by latest, so it's at least chronologically ordered because it's much easier to go through. And take a look at that very first result there. Heading for Benin's Voodoo Heartland, Ouida. We'll be glad to get away from this motorcycle madness in Cotonou. Gotta love Africa. There you go. This is the answer. Out of curiosity, we can check out where is Cotonou and where is Ouida and how far he traveled, just for the sake of it. So let's go with Ouida first. Ouida, Benin. Yep, that's the one. There it is. We have Ouida. Let's zoom out to see what we're looking at. And look at that. Cotonou is just there. So it's not even that far. We can check out the distance because I just tend to check everything. Okay, so it's a bit less than 35 kilometers. So the person did this in just a few minutes. It doesn't take that much to drive through one place to another, especially because it seems like there is a road from one to another. So this wouldn't take too long. And that is how you answer the third question. So to summarize, which event is being celebrated in the photos? The event was the Benin's annual Voodoo Festival. Which two photos were taken by the same person? And it was this one and this one. And the third question, the two photos mentioned above were taken in the same city. We know it was Ouida. The photographer, which was Dan Kitwood, was previously in a different city. What was the name of that city? That city was Cotonou. And that's it. This is how you could answer all of these questions without ever having to do an image reverse search on any of the photos. You just follow a trail, keep adding keywords, and keep moving forward until you find the answers to all of the questions. I hope you found the video useful, entertaining. I don't know, at least I hope you like voodoo pictures because that was really cool. Leave a comment. I like them as well. They're also very cool. Thank you for listening.